joined by Karl Gibbons. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure, Matt.
Other than being the founder and CEO of Third Eye Management, you also have a radio show, correct?
I do. It's called Quit and Get Rich, and it's on GTM Radio.
What kind of topics do you guys talk about?
In essence, it's about focusing on encouraging entrepreneurs to get their head out of their assets and focusing on the stuff that's going to make them more successful. The biggest part of the show is a segment called Fix It in 5, and we encourage all our listeners to send us in a little paragraph with their big challenge that they have in their business currently, and Gould and I will fix it in 5 minutes.
Share with me a little bit about Third Eye Management.
Well, Third Eye Management has been around now for over 25 years. And we do the same today as we did 25 years ago, hopefully just 25 years times better. And that is, we work with small and medium-sized enterprises, small and medium-sized businesses that are looking to grow. They are here, they know they want to be there, but they just don't know how to bridge that gap. And they don't have the resources to do it. And resources are not necessarily money or time, but also the expertise and the skill set. They don't need a full-time CEO, they don't need a full-time CMO or a CFO, but they do need one to get them to where they want to go. So they call on people like Third Eye Management, and we help them bridge that gap, because we go in on an as-needed basis and help the owner realise his dream.
Now, you spent a lot of time in the corporate sector as well, or have you always been an entrepreneur?
I had 3 years of corporate life, and that was it. I was done. I was done. I couldn't cope with the, let's have a meeting to talk about the meeting that we're going to have to do the meeting before we prepare for the meeting that comes to the meeting. I like to get things done. I like to do things. So I was successful. And I enjoyed it, but I just knew that there was something else. I had no idea what that was, but I just knew that a corporate life was not going to be where I spent the rest of my life.
So how'd you settle on this? I mean, I'm sure are you a serial entrepreneur, would you say?
Yeah. In fact, my first venture into flying solo, I got off the train one day on my regular commute from South London into Central London and the big city and all that's going on. And out the corner of my eye, I noticed this tiny little shop. I mean, it was a glorified kiosk, and it sold men's ties, and it was called Tie Rack. And I thought, what a great idea, because I'm sure anybody that knows, I mean, we don't have it here down in sunny southwest Florida, but anybody that commutes in on a train or on a metro or an underground, you know, you've got your coffee, your Starbucks, and oh, there it goes, you know, and so you can't go into work like that. So all these guys were lining up to buy neckties, because that's how they had to go into the office, and I thought, what a great idea. So I tracked down the owner of the company and I said, you and I need to franchise this. And he said, what a great idea. And then we broke every rule in the book. We sat around a table and we came up with a deal and we hashed it all out, and that was how it all started. And I built that company up, and I bought the franchise rights to probably the 3 most famous shopping streets in London. And I had the franchise rights to all of that for 5 years. I sold it after 3. You see, 3 is a very important number. You notice it keeps coming around. I sold that after 3 years, and then I rolled it into a company called Flash Trash, which was a ladies' fashion accessories chain. And so it was like we dealt with men's accessories, because Tie Rack eventually, by the time we'd finished, was the largest men's accessory chain in the world. And then we rolled all of that into a company called Flash Trash, and we built that, and then I moved on from there, sold that. Then I moved into a company called Classic Collections, which really was a very upmarket stationery company. Cards, gifts, pens, stationery. And then I went into the teddy bear business. I mean, and that's going to be at least a feature movie. So we can't go into that today, but nevertheless, I went into the collector's market and into the teddy bear business, and I had my own brand and my own range of teddy bears, and I just loved that. So it's really just been one entrepreneurial ride, but I have been very fortunate, and at the end of all of that, I reached a situation where the pressure was not there anymore. Let me put it like that. So I was doing a little bit here and I was doing a little bit there, but the same thing kept happening. The fax kept whirring. No cell phones then, so you can work out my age. But the fax kept whirring and the telephone kept ringing and people kept saying, Karl, how did you do this? Karl, you had 200, 300 employees, how did you do this? Karl, how did you raise the venture capital to set up this company? Etc, etc, etc. And of course, as we all know, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And I would go, hey Matt, sure, I'll tell you how to do that. That's real simple. And then after a while I thought, hold on, there's a value in my journey. There's a value in my ups and my downs, because it wasn't all people just throwing money at me and saying, great, you're successful, great, you're successful. I've had the days when I've sat at the kitchen table, you know, if I write this check, it will bounce. But I promised Matt I would send him this check today. So I write the check. No, I don't mail it till 8 o'clock at night. So I can look you in the eye and say, I mailed it to you on Friday, Matt, but I know it won't get picked up till Monday. That means you won't get it till Wednesday. So I can go and talk to the other guy who owes me the money. You know how it works. Been there, I've still got the scars to prove it still. So I've had that entrepreneurial roller coaster ride, and I still have it every day. And that I believe that had a value to other entrepreneurs. And I thought, well, if I can help them, and that's how Third Eye started. And here we are, 25 years later.
So is this your favorite one?
Oh yeah. Oh absolutely. Yeah. Every day is different.
Yeah.
You know, I can start off at 9 o'clock of a morning. You know, it's the tinker, the tailor, the soldier, the candlestick maker, all in one day, and then throw in a radio show, then throw in some TV stuff, and it's just different all the while, and that's why I love it. And at the end of any one day, let's assume I've dealt with 4 different entrepreneurs. I've seen 4 different businesses go from here to here. It's not always about going from here to here, because that doesn't happen overnight. But as long as every day they're going just that little bit further forward, that's just a big buzz. I love it. I love it.
If you don't mind, share with me something that it would surprise people to know about you.
I graduated as a fashion designer. That was my first role.
Really? Is that what you did at corporate?
I was in the fashion industry, yeah. But when I went to college, I so desperately wanted to be a fashion designer. And of course, like all students and all kids, we don't listen to our elders, we don't listen to our mentors, we don't listen to the people who have more experience. And even while I was at college, my tutors, my professors were saying to me, Karl, you'll always be a good designer, you'll always be a competent designer, and you'll always have a job, but you're never going to be a great designer. But you could run a fashion company. You could run a textile company. Because you're a great communicator, you can motivate people, and you know how to delegate. And I'm like, what's all that mean? I've got a clue. And it was only later on that I realised, of course, that they were right. And I wish that I'd just done it earlier, but there you are. So that might be one.
Do you think it's necessary for entrepreneurs to give back to their local communities?
Entrepreneurs, it's like a brotherhood, okay, or a sisterhood, whichever way you want to look at it. It really doesn't matter. We're all there to support each other. And it's not about you trying to sell me your stuff and I'm trying to sell you my stuff. That's by the by. When you get up of a morning and you look in the mirror, that's the only time in the day that everybody's in total agreement. You know, that's a great idea, Matt. Yes, it is, Matt. You know, you're not going to argue with yourself. You know, you've now got to go into the office or your studio or wherever it is that you work, and you now have to motivate, encourage, and take your team with you. Who do you share all that with? How do you go home and do you talk to your wife about it? Well, we don't want to do that because that might worry her, and we certainly don't want to tell her that your daughter's wedding fund was last month's payroll, or the kids' college fund. You know, that's not going to work. Sometimes you can't talk to the people, your employees or your co-team members, because they might not interpret it the right way, panic, you could end up losing them. And I'm not saying that all of these things do happen, I'm just saying that it's the mindset. And of course, then how do you go out with your some of your peers? Well, that just becomes, if he's got a new car, I've got to have a new car. If he's upgraded his golf clubs, I've got to have new golf clubs. So sometimes just to be able to sit down with one of your peers. They don't have to be in your industry, they don't have to be connected with you, but somebody that's been there, done it, and come out of the other side, and that will actually just listen. Sometimes they don't have to say anything. I will often have meetings with a client, and other than, hi, Mr. Smith, how you doing and how's it going this week? And I sit down and it's like, bleh. But you can see their shoulders come down, because when I got there, they're all like, oh, am I glad to see you? We've got a lot to talk about. Well, I actually have very little to talk about. He's got a lot to talk about. I've got a lot to listen to. And you can see as the meeting goes on, it's like, oh, am I glad to be able to share that with somebody. And we all owe that to each other. And if you can find a running partner, if you can find a mentor or a coach, do it.
Do you have moments that you get down, and when you do, what's your process for pushing forward?
As soon as the phone rings in the office and somebody says it's Matt Dykes on the phone from Grill and Media, my shoulders go down. No, you know, contrary to popular belief, I'm human. It's like I have my good days and I have my bad days, and you've just got to keep pushing on. You've got to stay true to the vision. You've got to stay true to the plan, and you've got to have a plan. Okay, winging it ain't gonna make it, because it's like having a GPS system, you know. Or when I was a kid, it was back in the day. You had a map, you know. Where are we stopping for gas? Where are we getting off the highway? Where are we stopping for lunch? Your plan, and it only needs to be one page. Where is it you're going? What are your key objectives? And again, they don't have to be months and months and months and months and months out. I work with all my clients on what I call 90-day rocks. What are you going to do? I want between 7 maximum and 3 minimum things that you're going to do over and above in the next 90 days that's going to move this business up a notch. It's going to make it better. It's going to improve it. And if you can think in 90 days, then that's not such a big deal, is it? You know, our goal for the next 5 years, well, that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. But like, that can easily get pushed out. Very easily get pushed out.
It's one thing to shoot for the moon and hope to land on the stars, but you got to set yourself up to win.
And of course, you've got to take everybody else with you. And sometimes a goal that's 5 years out is great, but because the rest of your team maybe can't see you just inching towards that, because that's the reality of how most businesses go. We all know the whiz-bang businesses that come from nowhere and everybody's a rock star overnight. But the vast majority of businesses, it's inch by inch by inch. It's not even foot by foot or yard by yard. It's inch by inch by inch. And you have to bring everybody with you. So 90 days is good. And think in terms of rocks, stones, pebbles. The rock is what's going to be achieved in the 90 day. The stone are the tasks that have to be done to achieve that rock, and the pebble are the little to-dos. That's your to-do list. And it must be specific, and it must be measurable. Making more sales is not specific. Closing 3 new accounts, that's very specific.
I think a lot of people like to celebrate their successes. And when you do have a success, whether it's a pebble or whether it's a stone, I'm not saying you take the whole group out and throw a big party for the little pebbles.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, how would you celebrate those, the successful times?
First of all, it needs to be proportionate. So just because you've achieved your 90-day rocks, unless it's a direct proportion of that, so you've closed a $10 million deal, then right. So that doesn't mean a new Rolex watch. You know, it might mean that you've closed 3 new clients and they equal 150,000 or whatever. But you know, what about buying everybody's lunch? What about buying everybody's pizza? What about taking everybody out for a pizza and a beer after work? What about just saying we're going to shut at 2 on Friday? Take a long weekend, everybody. You know, sharing the success, sharing the enthusiasm. Because don't forget, there's that other time as well when you're going to want everybody to work till midnight, or come in on Saturday, or work on the weekend. It doesn't, or come in extra early, or pull an all-nighter. You know, you've got to remember. So the flip side of that is, it's good to say, well, okay, we've had a great month, we've had a great week, we've met all our objectives. Let's all call it a day at 3 o'clock on Friday. Everybody have a long weekend, or things like that. that is good. It's good to share. It's good to celebrate. And also, Matt, to that point as well, don't forget the people that support your supporters. So what about the people that work in your company, their wives, their girlfriends, their husbands? What about a note to them to say, look, I know I've been keeping Matt late. I really appreciate it. Here's a bouquet of flowers. I know I've been keeping Fiona late, or she's been coming in extra early, or she's worked all the last few weekends. You know, here's a gift certificate to your favourite restaurant. Just go and have something on me. And I promise you, that will have actually more value and have a longer life than actually rewarding the employee.
Well, so if I hear you correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, it really comes down, it's the little things.
Always the little stuff that makes always the difference. And it's all about people. You can't do it without people. I don't care how grandiose your idea is. I don't care how visionary it is and how far out there. And I applaud all of that and I encourage all of that. But you need to remember the people that you work with. And if you're going to be successful, you have to surround yourself with people that play the things that you have to work at. Surround yourself with people who are better than you, always. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a credit to you. What was it? Steve Jobs said something like, we don't hire great people and then tell them what to do. We hire great people and get them to tell us what to do. That's exactly how you should be thinking.
Well, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with us and sharing some of your knowledge and experience with us. We really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, Matt. Anytime.